Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick video on something that I was studying. So I've been looking at the Bible, and I just read a few verses in Exodus 33:11 and 33:20. Now 33:11 says, Moses, or the Lord, talked to Moses face to face as one would talk to a friend. And the verse goes on. And then in Exodus 33:20 it says, for no man can see my face and live. Now, that seems like a contradiction, and I was having a problem with this. First, the Exodus 33:11 is saying that God and Moses talked face to face. And then it says in a few verses later, it says, you can't see my face and live. So what I did was I called a radio show on KKLA, and I asked Dr. Robert Bowman Jr. The radio show, it's called Living by the Word, I think. Living by the Word on 99.5 KKLA. It comes on Sundays at 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Anyway, I asked Dr. Robert Bowman, and he had some interesting things to say. He's basically saying, okay, well, it's not a contradiction. Because if we understand, here's the principle here, here's the bottom line about the Bible. If you understand the Bible correctly, it doesn't contradict itself. So that being said, okay, this seems like a contradiction. Let's dig deeper. You got to dig deeper. And you got to dig deep into the language and into the meaning, contextual meaning, historical meaning of these words in order to fully understand. Because not everything is literal. Just like in our language, not everything is literal. If someone says the word bear, because it can have different meanings. Obviously, spelling, if it's B-A-R-E, it could be a bare foot, or I can't bear the weight of this. There's different meanings to different words. Or there could be multiple meanings to the same word. Same thing in Hebrew. And the Bible in the Old Testament was written in ancient Hebrew. So basically he was saying, okay, well, this is a sort of idiomatic expression. Idiomatic expression is something that doesn't quite make sense literally, but figuratively it makes a lot of sense. Like under the weather, I'm feeling under the weather. Well, we're all under the weather. Everyone is under the weather. Are you a spaceman? Do you live on top of the clouds? As that guy Flula says on YouTube. So you can't take everything literally. And that's not a bad thing. That is a nuance of the language that you're speaking in. So Robert Bowman Jr. went on to say, Exodus 33:11, when he says face to face, is talking more about the intimacy. The word face to face is just the phrase face to face is an idiomatic expression or an expression within the language to connote the intimacy at which the Lord talked to Moses. And he went on to say that verse 33:20 is true. God, no one has ever saw the face of God and lived, or the face of the Father, whoever he was talking to. They're all in one, so whatever. It could be all three at the same time. Anyway, so he says Exodus 33:20 is true. Exodus 33:11, you have to interpret it differently. That's the way he kind of figured that both can be true at the same time. What I did was, this bothered me, because Kat Kerr, the Revelator, if no one has ever heard of Kat Kerr, you gotta look her up. She's visited heaven many times. I didn't really believe this, but she has confirmed this after I've watched 10 hours of her videos. The things she says, they all match up to the Bible, and I don't take her word as gospel, and that's why, because she said something. She said, I've seen the face of God, and I'm alive, and Moses saw the face of God, and he's alive. And then I thought, okay, well, Dr. Robert Bowman and Kat Kerr are contradicting each other. How do I make this fit? Where do I find the truth at? Well, I was doing some digging. So, this is my conclusion and I'll tell you the evidence I have for it. My conclusion is Exodus 33:11 is true. Robert Bowman was wrong, but he can't know. He's just doing the best he can with what he has. Dr. Robert Bowman Jr. was wrong. Moses did see God's face. Okay? He saw maybe a physical or spiritual face of God, his spiritual body. God is a spirit. And when God said, no one can see my face and live, he didn't. That is the idiomatic expression. That it's not even an idiomatic expression. Maimonides, and I researched this, Maimonides was a Hebrew scholar back a long time ago. He wrote about this encounter between God and Moses, and he wrote about this apparent contradiction. And he, knowing, being fluent in Hebrew and even knowing ancient Hebrew, the nuances of the language, he suggests that, he strongly suggests, and he goes into deep detail, some stuff that it was kind of a hard read, this paper that I read online. It was by Reedy. It was about a 4 or 5 page paper on Maimonides and the encounter of Moses with God. Okay, so Maimonides, this is what Maimonides states. And this confirms Kat Kerr was true. Dr. Robert Bowen was wrong. Kat Kerr did see the face of God, or at least she claims to, and that's biblical. Someone can see the face of God and live. And Exodus 33:20 is, in fact, most people misinterpret that. What Maimonides states is that the word face is actually essence, true essence. So when he says no one can see my face and live, what God is really saying is no one can see my true essence and live. Because, if he unveiled his true glory to somebody fully, to a man with a body, his body would not be able to sustain itself, and it would burn up. It's not powerful enough, being in its physical form. It would be destroyed, and therefore maybe they can only see it if they're in the spirit or if they had a new body. And that we know by reading the New Testament that we get a new body and everything like that, and our spirits go up when we die. Our soul, our spirit goes up into heaven, and then we can see the Father face to face when we're in the spirit, but not when we're in our body. So our bodies cannot see God in his true essence, in his true form, 100%. Kat Kerr says that she's taken in the spirit to heaven, which makes sense. She's not taking her full body raptured into heaven. And in the rapture, even during the rapture, it says, the dead in Christ shall rise first. And then the dead in Christ gets their new body, and the body is glorified. Physical body is glorified to withstand the presence of God in heaven. That makes a lot of sense. It's all starting to make sense because we see Jesus face to face. They saw Jesus face to face back then, and they didn't explode. Why? Because that was God's physical representative form. It wasn't his full true essence form. Okay, he was dimming it down for us so we can, it wasn't that body didn't contain his full, or maybe it did contain his full glory. I would think it didn't contain his full glory. It contained his spirit, and it was his spirit wrapped in flesh. And so that is my interpretation of this. Also, Maimonides also notes when he says, I will put you, when God said to Moses, I'll put you in the cleft of the rock, and I will show you my back, because my face, I won't show you my face. I'll put my hand over you, and then I will lift it once I have passed. Now, Maimonides also notes that the true meaning of this is that it says my hinder parts. When he says my back, it's not his back, because God's back is just as glorious as his front. He's God. I'm sure the back is just as glorious and nice as the front. And that's what Kat Kerr has said. Now, he says what that means, the hinder parts. Or, I'll put my hands over you, and I'll put you in the cleft of the rock, and take my hand, and I will show you the things that have passed behind me. Not my hinder parts, or not my back or my butt, but the things that have passed behind me, because he is the beginning, and everything that passed behind him, that if he's walking forward and everything behind him, that's technically our past. And if he's the beginning point, everything behind the beginning point, that is what happens after. If he's the first and he's the last, then if he happened first, everything behind him is the past. So that's what he was saying, and that's what Kat Kerr has noted in her videos, that's how he wrote the book of Genesis. Because God said, I'm going to put you in the cleft of the rock, or I'm going to put you in a cave on a mountain, or something like that, or in a secret place. And I'm going to show you everything that has passed behind me. That way he could write the book of Genesis about Adam and Eve, because he wasn't there. So this is how all of these things kind of make sense together, and how things fit together. And I'm really happy that I found this out just now and I had to make a video. So just as a synopsis, Exodus 33:11 states, God and Moses spoke face to face as if they were friends. That is true. Exodus 30:20 or 33:20 states that you can't see my face and live, or no man can see my face and live. The word face is actually his essence, meaning his true full essence, his full glory. No man in his body, physical body on earth, can see his face, can see God's full, not face, essence, true essence and glory, and live. When we get raptured, we get taken up, and our body gets glorified, and our body can withstand his true essence. When people die, their body stays here for now because they're not glorified, and their body goes, or in their soul goes up to heaven and can withstand his essence. But the physical body we have is a fallen body of flesh. It's not glorified, and it cannot withstand God's essence. And that is what these verses mean in the best scholarly research that I saw and did. Dr. Robert Bowman Jr. in his synopsis was wrong, saying that Exodus 33:11, God didn't talk face to face with Moses. That is his synopsis is false, and I will back that up with the New Testament verse that says Jesus saw that the disciples spoke to Jesus, and Jesus said, "If you see me, you've seen the Father." They were saying, "Show us the Father." He said, "If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. The Father is in me, and I'm in the Father. The Father and I are one." So there's the face of God. Many people have seen the face of God. It was Jesus. So therefore, that is how we connect all the dots, and that is my synopsis of the things that I've been studying. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like I said, that the paper that I read by Reedy, or R-E-A-D-Y, it's about a 4-page paper. It's titled something like Maimonides on Moses' encounter with God. All right. I hope you enjoyed the video. God bless you guys. Good luck.